Okay. Alrighty. So, Rhea, it's so nice
Hello.
to be able to talk to you today. Um, Alex Brown and I are here interviewing you for our CSF alumni interview. And we wanted to just kind of start by having you give us a brief intro. We know that you graduated or you were a part of CSF in 2013, and
Yes.
you now have moved out of the United States and are living across the country. Or
Across the world. Yeah.
just, just a little bit about yourself, but get started here.
Okay, perfect. So, hi, Sarah. Hi, Alex. You're right. So, I was at IUPUI between 2014 and 2016. I did my master's in IUPUI in communication studies in the School of Liberal Arts. So, I am a humanities girl. I met Andrew on campus when he held, at the time, Impact. So I'm actually wearing the T-shirt that was given to me when I joined Impact at the time. And he held a Bible study, which was right across the corner from where my classes were. So I decided to go in, and I missed having Bible studies and everything. So it was so nice to sort of meet like-minded students and Andrew as well. Um, so I am a Christian. I was born in India, in Mumbai, 28 years ago. And I moved to Dubai when I was 8. So I've actually moved around a fair amount because of my father's work. I've been in Dubai since 2002. I went to university in India, so I did my bachelor's in India, and then I did my master's in the United States. I worked in the US as well. Due to visa restrictions, quote unquote, the president, I had to return to the UAE because, it didn't seem fair that, I was living in the States, trying to get a visa to work there legally. But unfortunately, the government decided to shut down the visa process. So I decided to quit my job as a communications professional, moved to Dubai because my family lives here, just decided, what, cut my losses, come back home. Continued my work here. And my story sort of unfolded from there to here. I moved around a lot. My mom and dad live here. I have a younger sister in the States. So fair amount of travel back and forth. But God's led me this far, and He's gonna keep me sort of guarded. So yeah, that's me.
Wow, that's an awesome story.
Yeah, that really is. What?
Fair amount of work, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I guess one of my big questions that I'm sure others are kind of curious about, what brought you to come to the United States? What, especially made you choose IUPUI over every other, university in the country that we have here in the United States?
Yeah,
What drawed you to come here for your graduate program?
sure. So a lot of my family members are American. They're based in the States. So ever since I was a little kid, I would come to the States on vacation to visit family. So the US has always sort of been a part of my life, even though my passport is Indian. I've got way too many family members in the States. So I was so used to coming to the States. And the second reason, so I chose IUPUI because the communications program is, I think, top 3 in the country. To do your master's at Indiana University, which is what my certificate says, it's really prestigious in the world as far as the program is concerned. So my cousin went to IU Bloomington, so I was exposed to IU at the time, and she told me it's a really good school. So I decided to come to the city campus because I'm a city girl. I live in Dubai. I wanted to be close to everything, and I knew that the program was really good. So that was number one sort of choice as compared to other schools around the world as well.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome. It seemed like God had a plan for you there.
Absolutely, for sure, from day one.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you got connected with what was Impact at the time.
Yeah.
What would you say at that time well, even now, like, what would you say is the most impactful thing? Impactful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But what would you say is the most impactful lesson that like you've kind of taken from that and like are still using and mean something to you today?
So I can definitely say, and I remember the first time I met Andrew in the first Bible study that I went to, the first session they had. I was so happy that I found a group of people who, wanted to go about their daily business, but also make time for God and also make time to worship God and just get together and discuss the Bible, even if it was 30 minutes, 1 hour in a busy day. That's the kind of faith that I've been raised in, being raised Protestant, you go to church every Sunday, you go with your grandparents. I was kind of raised in a way by my grandparents taking me to church. So I was so used to that. And living in Dubai, I was so used to Bible studies every week. So when I moved to university in a sort of foreign country in a way, not knowing anybody at the time in the state of Indiana. So it was nice to find, a like-minded group of people. And that stuck with me, making time in my busy schedule. I was working part-time as well as going to school, making time for that 1 hour Bible study a week, attending night of worship. I don't know if it's called that right now, but night of worship was what it was back then, once in 2 weeks. Not only did I make new friends, I got closer to Andrew and he became my mentor and my guide, and he still sends me text messages and prayer requests, and sort of keeps me guarded. And it really impacted me because it made me realize that I need to make time for the things that truly matter, especially when I was going through a very tough time, writing my thesis. Master's is not easy, and I struggled with it. But knowing that there were these folks who were praying for me instantly lifted me up. And I recommend students, and I can tell you about this later, but I recommend students to find that prayer group or that, group of 5 or 6 people who can pray for you, can be there for you, can send you text messages and say, you know what, God is there for you, or we are there for you, and just give us a call and, we'll pray for you. It really does lift you up, and life just seems easier to handle when you have that thing at such an early age when you're in college.
Yes, absolutely. I know, like, since then, I know that there's been many more graduate students that have gotten involved, which is awesome.
Amazing.
At the
I
time,
remember there was let's say 5 or 6 people at the time when I joined. So the group was tiny. And you guys spoke to Taylor, I think a couple of weeks ago. Taylor and I, we were the ones who were there at the beginning, So
Yeah.
yeah, it's such a beautiful thing to watch sort of people grow from back then.
absolutely.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think it's at least over 100, over 150.
That's insane, by the way. Oh my goodness.
Which is awesome to be a part of that community.
That's the power of God. Yeah, that's the power of God right there.
Amen to that. And I guess to kind of go along with that too, obviously your day is super busy, even with COVID going on right now. That's completely put a turn on everyone's schedule.
Life is so different now. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We're doing Zoom interviews to have conversations with people. I feel like one of the biggest things, you kind of hit on it, was the community side and really finding that close group of either if it's friends or just fellow Christians to be able to pray for each other. How has that been, being back on the other side of the world in a different country? Does that still look the same? Do you have a group with you now? What does that look like?
So I've been very blessed to not just to be brought up in India, where of course, it's a secular country and everybody respects each other and adopts everybody's religions. So growing up in that culture is beautiful because I get to be a Christian and a very proud Christian at that. When I moved to the UAE at 8 years old, I was really small to understand what was going on. But what I slowly realized is, what the media tells you about the Middle East or what TV tells you about the Middle East was completely wrong, because the UAE is such a liberal country and it's such a beautiful country. Last year, 2019, was called the Year of Tolerance, where all religions can be practiced. I've never not gone to church. We have, and don't quote me on the number, but we have I think 8 to 10 really big churches here in the city of Dubai, Protestant, Orthodox, Catholic. You've got the Hindu temple. You've got there's a synagogue coming up next year because the UAE and Israel now have a partnership. So this is a very, very, very tolerant place. So moving here at 8 years old, life was the same. I was still going to church so here the weekend is Friday, Saturday. You guys have Saturday, Sunday. So we would go to church here on Friday. I would still go to church. I would still attend Sunday school. I would still attend Bible studies. I lived in a residential community at the time, so a lot of young families. So all the kids that I grew up with, who are now my age or getting married, these are the kids that I would attend Sunday school with. So I've sort of grown up with that, and that's never changed. And I think that's God's blessing that he's always provided me and my family and the rest of the community here with a church to go to, folks to communicate with, folks to pray for. We have around 3,500 or so people in our church. It's a huge church here. Yeah, the Indian community in the UAE is massive, so we have a huge church here. But having said that, on Mondays now, because of COVID, obviously the last time I went to a physical church was in March of this year. All the churches, like basically the city sort of shut down just for COVID regulations, especially the churches, temples, mosques. So we've been having Zoom church since the start of March. So every Friday at 5 p.m. we have church on Zoom. All of our priests come in. It's the same liturgy and the songs. And I've been in the choir all my life, so we'd be singing on Zoom. So on Mondays we've dedicated an hour or hour and a half to praying together. A group of 7 to 8 of us. A few of us have grown up together as well. Just meeting as a group, in the middle of a busy week, praying together, asking folks, what are your prayer requests? How can we help you? What have you been studying this week? So we would do these Bible plans together, or study it during the week and come back on Monday and discuss, how has it impacted your life? So I've never not known community. I've never not known a Christian fellowship. And I think that's the blessing of God to bring us to this beautiful place, which is so tolerant, so willing to accept faith and religion and not dismiss it, which is such a big blessing, which is why my family and I the rest of us feel so, welcome here. We can practice our faith on the street, which is absolutely beautiful.
Amen to that. That's incredible that it's so open and tolerant to that, because it could be very different, which is great.
Yeah, that's such a great testament. And I hear you say so much like God's blessings and things like in your life, and like it just seems like something that you really truly understand. And especially I know we kind of mentioned like COVID and this time, like it's been such a hard year for so many people. How have you, like, do you think because you have that community, like that's how you've kept that like positive outlook? Like how kind of what advice would you give for people who are struggling right now this time?
In the last sort of 28 years of my life here on planet Earth, not only have I been blessed with a family that believes in God, that takes you to church every Sunday/Friday, that prays together. We still have family prayer every day at home. Even though my sister's away, we would do it on Zoom. So that's number one. That's the number one thing in my life that I'm very happy about, because I get to have this close-knit group who cares for each other and knows that God is going to protect you no matter what. And we still pray together, read the Bible together. The second thing is having a community around the world, now obviously global because the world is getting smaller. With COVID happening, and we see all of these people that we know and love getting COVID, or cancer is a big sort of issue as well in our family/loved ones. A lot of people are getting cancer and losing their lives. My dad said something the other day. He said, I don't know for what reason, we are happy and we are healthy while we see so many other people struggling. And I attributed this to the fact that, our faith in God is really strong. And we know that God is going to pick us up from any challenge, even if we are going through a challenge. the faith that we have, the strength that we have is going to get us through the challenge. Going through loss, going through, I've been made redundant from a job as well. And that was probably one of the worst things that could ever happen to me. Having to leave the States because of visa restrictions, losing a loved one, going through heartbreak, going through relationships. These are very painful things to go through, but that's minute compared to what everyone else is going through. So I think practicing gratitude and being grateful to God that He has kept us going all of this time. It's a testament that we need to share with other people and make sure that other people know that, God is going to protect you no matter what. He sent Jesus for us. That price was paid. If we're not grateful for that, then what is the point of us actually being here? And that's something that, especially this year, we've been practicing on a daily basis is, talking to people to make them understand, can we help you with something? Can we connect you with someone who can pray for you? Can we connect you with the Bible clan or with a Bible group who, we can study the Bible with? Because these are the only things that are going to keep us going, especially in this difficult time. So when it comes to giving advice to folks like me and students who are much younger than me, I'd like to say, first find your group. Even if it's not a group, find a person. Find a person that can pray for you. If that's your family, that's incredible. If that's your friends, that's even more incredible. If that's a stranger on the street who prays for you, that's even more incredible. But having that person to pray for you, to pray with, and you can pray for that person, that's job number one done. And the second thing is, the Bible's right here. There are various ways in which you can pray. There are various ways in which you can worship God. There are various ways in which you can meditate on the word and connect with God. I know Jesus said, go into your room, close your eyes, and pray to God. That don't be a hypocrite with loud cymbals and loud metal. It's between you and God. And I practice that on a daily, it's a very personal thing. I practice that on a daily basis, that I maintain that faith with God. And I know that that's why He's protected me so far. But it's a very difficult thing to sort of tell somebody who doesn't believe in God. I have these conversations with folks who, don't believe in God for some reason, know that, God is there, but they don't have a connection with God. It's very difficult to explain to them. But I know that by living a life that is faithful to God and practicing gratitude, that's the best way I can share that love for God. And they can see that reflected in my life and my family's life as well. And I think that's what's kept us going, especially in this year with COVID as well.
Dang, that you just preached. That was so good.
Thank you. It's been on my heart. It's been on my heart lately because, especially with COVID, right? It's very difficult to explain to people why they're going through what they're going through. And now more than ever, I'm trying to listen more than speak. But I find it very interesting that a lot of times now, this should drive you closer to God, in my opinion. And I think it's definitely driven me closer to God. It's definitely driven my parents closer to God. Just practicing that gratitude that, we're alive on this earth. There's a mission on earth, and that's to live a life that's faithful to God. That's as simple as that. So.
I'm sure we couldn't agree more, and everyone will just appreciate your words of wisdom. I can really feel God just like use you in that way, not only in the UAE, but in the United States too, and still having that connection with Andrew and still having connections back home for you. And now here over this, where we get to share this with new alumni, old alumni, everyone's going to be a part of it to continue to share the word of God. And that gratitude piece is, I think, something really reflective of this year.
Absolutely. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult for me as well. There are times when I've struggled with a lot of mental health issues. I've been very open about it in the last 6 to 8 months. I've actually been a big proponent of the program, that talking about your mental health is important. But one of the things that's pushed me to talk about it is the fact that I've prayed to God, and I know that I can wake up every morning and be in the best physical health or be in the best mental health because I I know that God's protecting me, and that's plain and simple. There's nothing without that. But it's an ongoing struggle for sure.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's really yeah, that's very powerful to hear as well, because I too struggle with mental health issues, and I know a lot of people do. And so I think a lot of people think just because like if you're positive, like you can't have mental health issues, or if you're a
Yeah.
Christian, you can't feel certain ways or that kind of thing. And it's just so it's so
Such
good
a
to hear.
misunderstanding. Yeah, there's a misunderstanding about this in society, especially with folks who are our age as well. And it's very difficult sometimes to explain to them, no, that's not true. This can actually happen to you regardless of your positivity, regardless of the fact that you're rich or you're successful, or things are going well in your life. I'm sorry, but tomorrow morning you're going to wake up and something's going to go wrong. How are you going to deal with it? So talking about your mental health, and this is a whole nother topic, but talking about your mental health is one of the things that I feel like Christians need to do more, and admit that, what, we are struggling. It's not bad to say that you're struggling. We need to talk about it. That's the only way we can help each other and pray for each other as well.
Absolutely.
Agreed. And that's, again, how you build that community too, is being open and having that not only one-on-one relationship with Jesus and God, but with others as well, because He created us for community.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing that we've really learned this year, is that gratitude piece, and really building that community is so valuable. When we don't have that, we start to struggle more. So
you get lonely, and then you find ways to beat the loneliness, and that goes against, you start doing things that might not be in line with your faith, and then it's very hard to find the balance. So I have to say though, it would have been difficult going through this year had I not been at home. Being at home, having daily family prayer with mom and dad, or having Monday fellowship with my friends, it would have been difficult had I not been at home, and I might have lost my train of thought in a way. But at the same time, God has strengthened me day by day, just to go through different circumstances. So that's what I'm going to carry through to 2021. No more challenges, please.
Absolutely. I think we're all praying that prayer. Yeah. So I'm just curious. So you, besides the Bible, what do you like to read? Like, what kind of books do you read, or who are your maybe
Top authors
outside of that?
So my reading sort of falls into two categories. I don't, I'm not going to hate to admit it, but fictional books that take me away from the problems of the world. Fictional books that can make me, fictional books that can make me laugh and be joyful. Sort of falling in love with the character, and the journey of the character is something that I love, because it's not happening to me. I might as well read about it. So there are books like that. But there's one that I highly recommend. It's called Factfulness. Factfulness by Hans Rosling. It's an orange book, and this is a book that I came across. It was lying around at home, and I started reading it. It's number one is dismissing fake news, basically, and it's saying that there are 10 reasons, or there are a few reasons why the world is much better than you think it is. Because the way that human civilization sort of evolved, and the way that we work today, is we tend to be very negative about what's going on. Of course, COVID is negative, but Conan O'Brien yesterday tweeted, there are 12,000 negative things, but there might have been one positive thing that happened. What is that positive thing? And this book encourages you to start thinking about that positive thing. And it is insane. And I started reading it at the beach, and I was like, wow, I mean, I did not think of this, that we tend to always think negative. And this goes back to faith as well. We tend to think so negatively about X problem, Y problem. But at the same time, the fact that we're alive today, and the fact that we are breathing, and the fact that we have community, or we have that one person in our life that we're madly in love with, that's the one positive thing. We need to start thinking about that. So this is a book I highly recommend. It can provoke you, make you think.
Oh, those are good. I'm going to add that to my list now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll ping it to you guys.
Yeah, that would be awesome. We would gladly share with the rest of our alumni too. Like,
yeah. No, it's a good book
just
too.
need some time to read too.
I know. It was like this year. I mean, you know, you had time. You could read. You know.
Exactly. Well, I guess just one last open question. You know, is there anything from your experience, being on this earth for, you said 28 years?
Yeah, so I just turned 27 in July, so close, very, very close to 28. Going older.
Very close. You're almost there. Well, I guess just any bit of advice that you would want to share to our current alumni, whether they're graduating and entering or trying to find right now, or they've been in the job field. Is there any last bit of advice that you'd like to share with our awesome group of alumni here with us at CSF?
Absolutely. So two things. One is challenges exist. I've gone through jobs, I've gone through redundancy, and I've gone through putting yourself out there and finding the next position, and making very, very, very big decisions that will strategically change your life. So in admitting that challenges exist is the first step, that you're going to have problems, especially in today's day and time. And the second thing is simply put it to prayer. Put it to prayer. I cannot tell you how much of a relief it is for me to close my eyes and literally tell God, I don't have it handled. Which is attributing back to my mental health struggle. I didn't admit it for a while, and I kept thinking, okay, I'm going to handle it. It's fine. This year, or the last 8 months, I haven't handled it well at all. And I need to pray more, and I need to admit to God that I don't have it handled. Take it from me and do it in your way. So the one thing that in the last 8 months, I've been saying is, if it is your will, let it be done. That's my line. And I believe that God is doing his will in my life. Got a piece of news last week, which proves that God is at work in my life. So I would highly recommend, this is what I want to tell the alumni. Pray about it and admit that you're struggling. You will feel better after that.
I love that. I think those are great last words to wrap up with. And I know Sarah and I, and I'm sure everyone watching too, has really appreciated your joy and, again, wisdom, especially with you.
Thank you.
On the other side of the world. We know it's late at night, so we appreciate some time for us today.
Thank you both so much. I miss Impact. I miss IUP. I know I still call it Impact. I miss all of you. I miss Andrew, and I look forward to reconnecting in person one day where the world gets better.
Yes, absolutely.
Likewise.
Yeah. Well, we will definitely have to meet in person someday as well.
Yes, 100%. And if you happen to be on my side of the world, well, I might be on your side of the world much sooner than expected. So stay tuned.
Fingers crossed. TBD.
TBD.
You enjoy the rest of your evening or sleep or what?
Sleep.
Yes.
Sleep. So
thank you both so much. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy. Pray about everything, and God will have it handled.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both so much. Bye. Good night.
Bye. Good night.